My people, Ghanaians are going to protest to get the government to declare a state of emergency. The question is, you ask me why. One of the biggest problems that we have in Ghana right now is what they call galamsey, which is illegal mining. Now, small-scale mining has been done from time immemorial, and they used to call it artisanal mining. And that was not illegal. A few years up until now, small-scale mining is being mixed with illegal mining, and it's become a major problem. I mean, we have about 4 million people that are involved in this galamsey, which is the illegal mining. This is a big problem because they are not doing it properly, and it is destroying the water bodies like the Ankobra, the Pra. There's just different river water bodies are being destroyed, and also the forest areas. The Ghanaian youth are about to hit the streets to ask the government to declare a state of emergency. So in this video, I'm going to break down what this means. We're going to look at the real scale of the galamsey crisis. We're also going to look at what other countries have done to overcome it. We're going to look at a holistic approach to stop this thing once and for all, which Ghana has already started with, and why declaring a state of emergency can be dangerous. I know people are going to be mad about me with this, but I've thought very hard about it. Like I said, I always like to analyze things, and with a little bit of research, this is what I came up with. If you are new here, my name is Nina, and I'm the designer for a clothing brand, Koshio. I'm known as making the best African luxury, especially men's shirt. I was known for that. But I recently started an Afritude movement where I'm using streetwear as a medium to tell our stories, because I know fashion can get into spaces that videos can't. We're telling our own stories and we're changing the narrative through fashion. So that's what I do. But I'm here and I just blabber mouth about what's going on in the continent and how we can bring change to make it better. So if you like this, subscribe, stick around, and this is the Afritude movement. One of the biggest problems when it comes to galamsey is that over the past few years, political parties have used it to score political points. They've politicized the galamsey. If you politicize something and you come in and you don't do anything about it, of course, there's going to be distrust in the system. So I think that is one major problem that both political parties are guilty of, that they have politicized the galamsey. But I have looked at galamsey and I realized that this thing started before I was born. There are 4 million people that are depending on mining. So how do we solve the problem holistically that it doesn't happen again? Because Ghana is not the only place that has gold. There's a lot of gold in America that I'm here. There's gold in other countries. There's other minerals in other countries. And there are countries that they've overcome illegal mining. So how did they do it, right? And this is what we're going to discuss in this video. So first of all, illegal mining is just not an environmental issue. It's an economic survival issue as well. But the way, like I said before, it's being done is destroying our water bodies. And if care is not taken, Ghana is going to risk losing access to clean water in the next decade. Guys, this is very serious. If care is not taken and illegal mining is not clamped down, to get access to clean water in Ghana in the next 10 years will be almost impossible. So this affects us all. In my research, I realized that other nations have also faced similar issues and have found solutions to them. So I'm going to highlight some of these countries, right? We have Peru. So we have Peru, who formalized small-scale mining, giving miners licenses, training, and access to cleaner technologies. So what they did was they gave these small-scale miners licenses. They also trained them, and then they gave them the technology. When you look at Ghana's situation, the people are not trained in the villages. Everybody gets up, they see what their father did, they see what their uncle did, and they get up and they go into mining. So they don't have the formal training with the equipments that are available to do this diligently. So that was Peru and Colombia. What Brazil did was they sent drones into the Amazon forest, and they clamped down and shut down people that were mining in the forest areas. So they used a satellite monitoring system to do that. This is in Brazil. And then in Tanzania, they created community-owned cooperative, and the locals themselves, they became shareholders of the mines itself. You know, when you become shareholder of the mines, you are more likely to protect your environment. We're going to come back to explaining this. So this is what Tanzania did. China forced the illegal miners to fund land reclamation programs. Like, they forced them to do that, and they turned degraded lands back to farm and forest. So these are examples of countries that have overcome illegal mining in their communities. The lesson here is you have to combine a number of things to be able to resolve illegal mining. One, law enforcement, community collaboration or community ownership, technology, and alternative livelihoods. So let's come to Ghana and what they have done so far, what they are doing, and what they plan to do. Ghana set up the Goldbod, even though illegal mining is still going on. I feel like when you come into power and you are met with a mess and a situation, how are you going to resolve this problem? Like, there's a hierarchy of needs, there's a hierarchy of things that need to be done to clamp down on illegal mining. So as the president said, media encounter.
I never deluded myself that the fight against illegal gold mining or galamsey was going to be an event. The decay has eaten so much over the last 8 years that it's going to take a lot of work to be able to overcome it. And I didn't expect that in 18 months we will declare victory in the fight. As the livelihoods of about 4 million Ghanaians is on small-scale mining. And so it's going to be a process. It's not going to be an event. But we will not give up. We have a determination to get on top of it. The Goldbod was introduced as part of reforms. And if the Goldbod was not introduced, those who were taking the profits from the small-scale mining sector were the foreign traders. In 6 months, we have exported over $6 billion. About $4 billion of that money was going to go into the private or foreign traders. The first thing is you shut the stable door so that the horse doesn't escape.
The first thing that they did was they formed the Goldbod. And what the Goldbod did was they made it in such a way that those who were mining illegally now could not smuggle the gold out because of the restrictions that they passed. Nobody can ship gold out of Ghana. The Goldbod has to ship. So now what happened was, instead of the $2 billion worth of gold that they will ship within those few months, they shipped about $6 billion worth of gold, and all this money came back to Ghana. The president's thinking was, they are already destroying our water bodies already. We are going to clamp down on. But for the meantime, the first form of action is we are going to protect. If you guys are going to steal the gold, we are going to protect it so that the money comes back into the country. So I don't have a problem with that one. For the first 6 months, the export that went out was $6 billion instead of $2 billion in the previous year, which means $6 billion has always been going out, but it doesn't benefit Ghana in any way. So the Goldbod clamped down in such a way that we were able to keep that money for Ghana. Another thing is they've also not given any new permits. Over the past 8 years, over 1,500 licenses were given without any proper training, and I think it's just devastated the situation, the problem that was already there. And what Mahama did was they are not giving any licenses at all. They are trying to clamp down on galamsey. So they also have law enforcement that are going into the forest and protecting the water bodies. A lot of machines have been seized. And recently I saw that some water pumps had been seized from these miners, and they gave it to the Minister of Agri, who has now given it to the farmers. I remember beginning somewhere this year, there was a whole city in the forest. They went and caught some people in the forest who were doing illegal mining. There was a whole lifestyle that was going on in the forest that Ghanaians knew nothing about. Mahama and his team clamped down on those people. With a community corporate mining, what will happen is that the whole community is involved. So you have some people that you train that they are mining, then they take maybe 40% of the monies that they have mined. They use 20 or 30% to fix and buy their equipment, and then 20% goes to building schools and things for the community, and then 10% will be paid to the government. So when you do this, if this is done very well, mining in these areas can build schools, can build hospitals, can buy laptops for children. Children will study mining in school. When they finish school, they'll just go to their backyard and work with the miners in the community. It's going to create jobs properly in a structural way, and that way the people in the community will also protect the environment. So when President Mahama came up with these things, honestly I didn't really understand like a holistic approach. But when you are curious, like someone like me, I went and I did some digging, I did some research, and I realized that yes, some countries have gone through this. How did they get out of it? If we declare a state of emergency, and he keeps on saying that it's a last resort, because we haven't done all these things to know that it's not possible. So if we declare a state of emergency, this is what Ghana has to be ready for. This one, I'm going to be very honest with you. I had to ask ChatGPT this one, and I asked about state of emergency, what it means, and honestly, the answer that he gave me, honestly, he said that if you declare a state of emergency, that means that you give too much power to politicians. Now you are giving them power because they are going to enact the article, I think Article 31 in the 1992 Constitution. In that article, they can abuse their power even more. You are going to give politicians more power to use the military, do more galamsey. Basically, it's not a very good idea to get a government to declare state of emergency. Another thing is that it will disrupt millions of people from their livelihoods. When you give them a little chance, they will go back to doing galamsey. And that is why this has not worked in the past. Former governments came out, they clamped down on, they bent people's machines, and there's so much politics that went on in that. But the bottom line is that when you turn your head and you give a little chance, because people are depending on that to eat, they will go back to that. So that is not a permanent solution, even though it sounds strong. 4 million people, how many soldiers do we have? And then it also risks creating fear, human rights abuse. If you really want to understand what state of emergency is, Google this, look at some articles and comments, and let me know what you feel about that. What Mr. Chat told me was that state of emergency should be like a last resort, because it gives too much power to the politicians. And if they have power right now that they are abusing, and we are not happy with the things that they are doing, then once they declare that state of emergency, they can do contracts seriously. They don't have to go through anything. They can do whatever that they want. It's even worse. So those of you who are lawyers and those of you who are in this field, let me know how you feel about this. In the president's last speech, some people were going to be sent to Australia for training for small scale mining. I think this is a very, very good call. I believe it's our constitutional right to demonstrate. I'm happy that the youth in Ghana are taking things into their hands and they are hitting the streets to demand their God-given rights, which I support 100%. But I just wanted to bring a little bit of understanding to what was going on. Now I've analyzed this. This is just 8 months, right? In a few months, we'll see whether these people are doing what they said they will do. But so far, I believe certain things have been done that we can even see. But when something has been destroyed for the past 10, 12, whatever years, it's going to take a long time to fix. And so long as they are not giving licenses, so long as we see that people are being arrested, so long as they are meeting the press and telling us and they are being transparent, I think we need to give them the benefits of the doubt so that they can focus and do their work properly. But I do support these kids that are hitting the streets. I think it's everybody's right. I hope that they will not be met with as much resistance as we have seen in the past. So in my conclusion, Ghana needs to take a holistic approach in fighting galamsey, monitoring small-scale mining, community ownership, alternative jobs for the youth, and advanced monitoring to protect our forests and our rivers. It's about transforming mining into something that builds and not destroys. We must always hold leaders accountable, but we must understand that quick fixes like state of emergency are dangerous. The real solutions are long-term, community-based, focused on people and their environment. This is not about NDC or NPP. This is about saving Ghana. So I hope I was able to bring a little bit of light to it. Let me know how you feel. Comment, like, and share. So this is the Attitude Movement, where we bring what is done in the dark to light. Hope to see you next time. Peace out.